It's day 2 of our trip to Bath Digital Festival here early doors for a networking event with Noisy Little Monkey. And then there's a day of events there where we'll be looking at lots of different things. I can't remember what they are right now, but I'm joining Al. He's coming on a little later. Right, see you later. Right, I've pulled Tim aside. Found we were having a great chat earlier, and I thought Tim would be good coming on our podcast and give us his feedback from the day. So, Tim, tell me what you found that one of the events that you found exciting today.
Well, I've just come from one from a company called weareready.com.
Right.
Fascinating. They're talking about people's attention span is 3 seconds maximum. But I then told the chap, Jack, just met him, and I was saying about how I was on this train journey from Bath to Bristol the other day. And I was looking over someone's shoulder. I couldn't really see what she was seeing, but I looked at her flicking through her phone, and it was less than 3 seconds. She was looking at things like half a second, 1 second, 1 second, half a second. And in fact, when she stopped at one thing, I think it was about a girl brushing her hair, it was like she was 7 seconds, and I thought, wow, come on.
What's wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong? It was, it was fascinating. He was talking about how you got just this tiny moment to capture someone's attention, and they say it's 3 seconds, but I think it's even less than that nowadays.
Yeah, and there was another good talk from John from the Noisy Little Monkeys.
Noisy Little Monkey, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, they had a few talks, but he was talking about sales emails, and so there's some really good tips on what to do. I'll make sure that all the notes I've got are published on that. There's one that I took at the end of a conversation. If you're not going to get the sale, they haven't communicated back to you, then he actually has quite a good passive-aggressive email.
That's right, the rude email, yeah. Well, if you're not interested, then go away.
Basically, yeah, and he gets response from that.
That's right,
yeah,
that's right.
It works really well. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Tim.
Well, okay, it's a company called Evershare.io where fans can buy a share of a song. There's a major problem in the music industry where 75% of the industry is controlled by just 3 companies.
Yeah.
They're not interested in new bands today. They're not, they're only interested in back catalogue or Adele or Ed Sheeran. The superstars, they're not really interested or even set up to look after the new bands that are coming along. And there's so many new bands out there with a lot of good talent, but they have a problem. People don't buy CDs anymore.
Yeah.
A like on Facebook, that's not going to get you buy a sandwich. So how do those bands get money now at the start of their career when they need it most? So Evershare is basically, you could call it crowdfunding. I want to call it crowdvesting. So if you see a band and you like them, you're going to buy a share in one of their songs, just a little share. You're going to get something back. You're going to give them a $5, maybe a $10, a bit more, whatever it is, and you'll get your share in proportion to whatever you put in. So it's just a way of making that connection between band and fan and making it more a journey, shall we say. You've got part of the band now, you're part of the song. So if you own it, you're going to share about it, you're going to like and post about it a bit more.
Exactly, and that's what I like about it. I think people who are committed and part of that community, they want to support you. Sometimes you find, how can I give this person money, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's a band, or whoever you like, how can I give them money? This is a really good way of doing it, getting their vested interest in it, with potential real gains at the end.
Well, yeah, potentially. Adele was nobody once. Everybody was nobody once. So somebody out there is the next Adele. Yeah. Somebody out there is the next Ed Sheeran. And if you buy a share in one of their songs,
bragging rights later if they do well.
You've got a lot of bragging rights.
I think what you also do is you sort of buying the permission from them to shout about it because they have a vested interest. They're more likely to do that promotion for you.
Well, that's the idea. And say you're creating that community. But record companies and major publishers aren't interested in new artists these days. So not only are you giving the support to the artists financially, but you're giving them a bit of social media, extra shouts out there. But also it might be something like, say you invest in a band and they're playing down in Bristol, they're going to invite you on the guest list. You're going to feel special about that. And then they might say to you, hey Ben, do you know anyone who's a photographer? And you go, yeah, I know someone who's a photographer. So you're making that sort of connection. So it's a little micro community around the band where everybody's sharing, sharing a bit of money, sharing a bit of success, sharing a bit of the work. That's the idea that I'm trying to create at Evershare.
And what's the URL again?
Evershare.io.
Okay, we'll make sure we put that in the notes. Thanks very much, Tim. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
What a day.
It's only halfway through.
I know. We haven't managed to get together. We've been so busy. Going to lots of different events. What have we seen? What have we seen?
Today we've looked at a call to action and landing page talk. I think the takeaways from that were to keep it simple, clear, targeted, and bold.
Is that with the naughty little monkeys, as I like to think of them, or noisy little monkeys?
Noisy little monkeys. Yeah. Yes. Yes, that seems so long ago now, but that was just this morning.
It's really good. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, wow.
The first presenter, I forget your name. I thought it was really good. You were quick, you were sharp, lots of points. I pretty much wrote them all down, so thank you for that. But we'll obviously link you in the notes for this. That was really good. James, I think, was the next guy. He had some elements on marketing automation.
Okay, I did a different talk, so yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So
marketing
marketing automation. So he's basically talking a little bit about cookies, what they are, and then looking at the process of marketing automation, what it is, and how it works. And essentially, it's just the process of nurturing customers before they come to the sales team. So basically, you don't want people to hit a website, fill out a form, and go straight to the sales team, because they may or may not be interested at that point in actually buying anything. So the whole point of marketing automation is to make sure they get the relevant information, communication, decisions that they can work through in their own time before they get referred to the sales team on that, which I thought was a good idea. And there's lots of systems that do that. They were advocating HubSpot, lots of other systems I know. What's the monkey? MailChimp do that sort of thing for email only. What's the monkey?
Lots of monkeys today.
Campaign Monitor, which is the one we use, that does a bit of marketing automation in terms of emails. That's really good. And just touching actually on the last one, the call to action presentation, which John there, the owner, I think, of Noisy Little Monkeys, he was talking about call to actions, and he had one of his last points that he was going through was this final email he sends out to people, which is basically he gets to the end of the process, and the client hasn't responded, they're not interested, or at least not coming back to anything. He's done everything he can. He sends them this, let's say, mildly passive-aggressive email, and it solicits a response pretty much every single time.
All right.
Yeah.
A good response.
It's always positive,
okay,
but it's not normally winning the work.
Okay.
But usually it gets a response, and it's very similar to the magic email which we use. You can look that up, the magic email, which is just it's a one-liner. I used it recently, and actually, funnily enough, just after that talk, I got a response back. From the last two I sent, I got 2 responses back. We've had 100% response rate to that. So basically, this is a client, you sent them a quote, you've done all the follow-ups, you get nothing, and then
you send them a hilarious one-liner.
You send them the magic email, you get a response back, literally, I'm not joking, 100%. And it doesn't mean we win the job, but at least we know where we stand.
I didn't know about this. This is a very interesting.
I will tell
it's
you
that magic.
Yeah.
I'm not in the loop. So meanwhile, while you were in those, I went to a little panel talk about designing a better world, or designing for a better world in digital. So a mix of different people, from various people who are working towards being more sustainable, and there were agencies who try and, well, they are not just trying, they are doing the right thing, and also, I suppose a big question that came out of it was, as an agency or a freelancer, what can you do if your approach to work for someone who doesn't really kind of fit with maybe your ethical viewpoint? So maybe there are certain companies you might not want to work for. I mean, the obvious ones are things like maybe a tobacco company, or maybe like a fossil fuels company. So it's like, what do you do if you've got work? They've approached you for work. Do you turn them down? And the answer was yeah. It's okay for you. They've got their aims and their goals. Yeah. There's a company, maybe a massive company, and you've got your goals too. And it's fine, even if you're just one person. You've got goals that you're trying to work towards in your business. And so if that doesn't fit with your ethos, just say no. But in a really structured way that isn't like, well, no, I don't agree with you, but just a productive no. And there was a bit of talk about how to say no, but just to phrase it like that and just say, do you know what, you don't really fit with what I believe in, so I'm not going to do the best job for you. So
no, I think that's fair. I've got to rush into another presentation now.
It's all good.
So it's from Sal, I forget her surname. She's a copywriter. She's actually quite a good presenter, I thought. Lots of energy.
Yeah.
And oddly, Sal, if you're going to watch this, you were talking about being a writer and not doing video. I think actually she'd be really good at doing video to complement her writing.
Her surname was Skitchen's blog.
Skitchen's blog.
Yeah, Sal's Skitchen's
Sal's Kitchen's blog. Yeah. Yeah, so she sells kitchenblog.com.
Yes.
And all the Instagrams and Twitters and stuff like that. I thought it was really good. She has some good points there about blogging, a lot of which we know coming from the industry we come from, but it's good to reiterate that.
Always important. It's still someone's first go at blogging.
Yeah.
Although we also often forget how much we know, because it doesn't seem like we know a lot sometimes, well, me anyway. Actually, it's always someone's first time at doing this.
Yeah.
It's always someone's first time of knowing what WordPress is, or what a blog is, or what a website can do, or what an app really consists of. So yeah, it's just that. It's important to remember as well.
Yeah, I got lots of good points, so I'll add those to the notes at some point and we'll put them all together. Right, we better dash.
We've got to run.
We have got to run. Right, see you later. So I'm here with Jim Morrison. He's the director of the festival. We've managed to get a couple of minutes of his time. I wanted to find out a little bit more about what the festival is and his background. So perhaps you can just introduce yourself, who your company is, and a little bit about the festival.
Yeah, so I'm Jim Morrison, as you said. I'm director of the digital festival, but also my day job is I'm founder and CEO of Deep Blue Sky, which is a digital software agency here at Bath.
And tell us a little bit more about the festival. Give me a little bit of its background and what it's about.
So the festival's now in its 6th year and was founded by a couple of guys quite a long time ago with a direction more around helping techies get together and speak about the work that they're doing. I took over leading the festival last year, so this is now our 2nd year. And one of the things I've tried to do is diversify it a little bit, because in those 6 years, digital technology has crossed so many boundaries in so many different walks of life that we've tried to make sure that the festival is now appealing to individuals and kids who are learning to get into coding or learning to get into technology, to businesses who are now relying more and more and more on the digital infrastructure that underpins the way that they operate their business. And then we still have our whole sort of blue segment, which is techies talking to techies.
Yeah,
or playing with Lego.
Yeah, it's good. So where do you find the speakers for these events? Because we've seen a lot of events during the course of what now is our 2nd day. Where do you find people? How do you get people involved?
Almost all of the events are volunteered to us by the speakers. Are quite noisy on social media, and a lot of that actually is automated. So we go out to our following and start asking people to volunteer their ideas for events or volunteer their ideas just to do a talk. We collect and collate that information over the course of the year, and then we curate it into the lineup of events, which are either events that people have specifically said this is what I want to put on, or they've said I've got an idea about doing this little talk, and then we put them together with some other people and we build events around the speakers that we've got. Generally speaking, the speakers and the events come to us. And
it seems to build over time, because it seems that the talks and events are added over time as you're getting nearer and everything's sort of falling into place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite exciting. There's certainly lots of. Maybe one feedback from us is things are spread around throughout the city, so there's lots of running between them, and the times are quite tight. So literally, Al and I have been running between them, just about making it. Actually doing quite well in some of the senses.
Does that make it fun, or does it make it frustrating?
I think it makes it fun, actually. Yeah.
I think it makes it really fun. Yeah, it makes it much more remission.
Yeah.
And you see other people sort of out of breath as well. You're kind of beating them from talk to talk. So I quite like that. It's a bit. It's
a real challenge. And I think this year we've tried, like today, for instance, we've got this venue for the day, and we put a load of talks on here. But there are other talks going on across town. And it's a challenge. It's not a conference, and we definitely don't have that conference vibe. So there's something quite nice to think about racing around town.
Is any other city copying the format like this, or are they just more boring conferences?
That's a good question. Not that I'm aware of. Don't know. We have a good relationship with Bristol Digital Week, which happens in November, and Brighton Digital Festival, but they're slightly different formats, they're slightly different, they appeal to slightly different audiences.
It's a really good value event. I bought it, I think, at full price of £15. I know Al got like an early bird discount. How do you put it on for that price? Because it's pretty much a full week, lots going on, there's full day events. It's good value.
The kindness of the sponsors and support from Baines, the council here, and support from Bath Bid. But yeah, predominantly it's the support of the sponsors. Check out the sponsors page and check out what the sponsors are doing, because they really put it on, they fund the festival.
I definitely recommend to anyone, even if they're not techies, come along, because a lot of the talks have been very much involved in businesses and very much at their level. I think there's different talks at different people's levels, and it's pretty much accessible for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ticket price and the layout of the talks play together. I think if we put the ticket price up, we would change the dynamic of who comes to the festival. The ticket price is set at a level, it's aimed at least at a level that ensures people come to the things they say they're going to come to, because this year particularly we were selling out events quite early on. So we don't want to sell out events and then have people not turn up and people who wanted to come not be able to get in. But it's also about making sure that people who wouldn't necessarily be able to justify the cost of going to a conference can get along to an event, because if anything, I mean, I've been to a lunch today. There is an opportunity for people who know how to work and know how to think to reskill into the digital industry, and the digital industry is absolutely desperate for people who have the skills to do the jobs that we have and we can't fill. So that's a large part of what the festival is about, is opening people's eyes up to the opportunity to move into the industry.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us, and we'll look forward to next year.
Cool, pleasure. Thank you.
So what did we do? What did we last talk about?
So we were just talking about the Design Better World, and we had to cut it short because we had to dash to our next talk.
Got it. So what did you do next?
Right, so yes, my next sort of bits I needed to say were this idea of saying no to companies that perhaps aren't in keeping with your kind of ethos, if you're like an agency or a freelancer, and just saying it in a positive and constructive way, and hopefully you'll get to be known for doing that and get more respect in the long run. But I suppose, and the opposite side of that is people will say, well, to themselves, well, if I don't do it, then someone else will do it.
Yeah.
But that's not a really strong argument, is it? It's like saying, well, if I don't, if I recycle, someone else isn't going to bother recycling. There's a couple of questions. One of them was a really good one, saying, well, what can I do as an individual just to kind of try and stop the bad companies, or at least, make a stand in some way that isn't, political or anything. And a really interesting answer, which I guarantee you would never think of, and that's to look at your pension.
Right. And
that most people's pensions, 2/3 of people's pensions, fund oil, fossil fuels and tobacco.
Oh, right, in terms of what they're investing. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, you just don't think of it. There's a lot of pot money there. You're not even thinking what it's doing. So, yeah, that was a really good...
Yeah, you don't think about that with bank accounts as well. There's, is it First Direct? They were one of the first banks to say, we don't do that. We don't fund these types of things, criminal activity.
You forget, and of course they were saying it's quite hypocritical for people to be out demonstrating about these sort of things when actually all the money they're saving is going and paying for these.
But they don't know that necessarily.
No, and that's the point. Yeah. So after that one, I went to one about digital brands, which is really interesting, from a guy from a company called Ready. And so they deal with some big brands, and he clearly knows the stuff about statistics and buying and sort of changes in buying habits. And he was saying that I think 56% of people now buy on a mobile, so that's like going up. So again, it's just another obvious message there to have your site working for mobile for buying. And that's, was it 1/3 of online purchases are just impulsive?
Yeah.
So I'm not impulsive at all. But he did have a great graph.
Apparently a lot of people do that on Instagram.
Yes,
yeah,
I'll come to that
in
a moment.
Yeah, big part of that.
I've got something on that. So there was an interesting graph with different types of products and how long people take to make decisions about buying. So I mean, I'm terrible, I never buy anything anyway. Certainly not new, but things like electronics.
He's good on eBay.
Yeah, for things like electronics, there's a longer window where you need to like assess things and compare.
Oh really?
And and so for things like sometimes clothes or makeup, he worked mostly with healthcare and makeup sort of products. It was a really, really short amount of time that people would go, oh yeah, that'll do. I want that and buy it. There wasn't a long time. It was really, really quite impulsive sort of purchases. Lots of information about personalisation. So there's a company that you can literally make your own kind of shampoo. You can make different colour, put your name on it, whatever you want, how you want it to smell. You can kind of just design it and buy it.
Yeah.
And there's just a huge, I guess, customer uptake of things that are personal that you can design. And as humans, we have a much more attachment to things that we've helped design. And again, the brand story, and you can tell people and you feel really proud of it. You put it on a shelf. Maybe you don't want to use it because you've got to made it.
But this is mine. Yeah, it's a big.
Yeah,
it's powerful.
these things are really, really interesting. And again, he showed information about the way that previously buying used to work, where you'd kind of see an advert and then you'd think about it, and then you'd go in the shop and then you'd maybe buy it, and then you'd have like a post-buying sort of thing. And now it's much more different in the sense that people buy things they've never seen or held or touched. So and they were also, there's like a loop, so other people who bought it, you'll kind of trust them, So it's like a peer review system.
So just jumping forward to one of the events with Sal.
Yes, the kitchen blogger.
The kitchen blogger.
Yeah.
Who we did talk about, but she was talking about that trust, really generating trust. Oh no, was it Emily? Oh, I'm confused now. Sorry, guys. But they were one of them,
yes,
Sal
it was
or Emily. It was Emily. Yeah, sorry.
We haven't gone to that one yet.
Yeah. So well, maybe it's a good time.
Well, there was just one other thing I just want to add.
Okay, well, let's just bring this in, then we can hop back. So Emily was talking about trust, and that's a really important thing, really going to finding out who your audience trusts. Because the moment you have that trust, there's so many boxes that get ticked off, and that you can then, you're much more likely to buy things rather than going through this huge list. And I took a photo of, someone had a list of all the things that we want to tick off mentally in our mind before we purchase a product. And the moment you have that trust from someone else, that referral, most of those get ticked off.
Yeah, and again, I've heard it a few times a day. No one really wants to be sold to.
Yeah.
They just want to see
that
thing
is a big theme, isn't it?
I want it, or they want the solution. They don't want to be sold to, and that's kind of modern.
And that's with the younger generation
phrase.
as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the younger generation are quite savvy to that.
Yeah.
Not like us suckers who'll be happy to be sold to.
Which leads me into a little bit. On the end of his talk, he showed a system whereby it's like an app. So say you're on Instagram typically, or something like that, and you see. Again, well, he was talking about fashion, so it's a nice dress or clothes that you like. Take a photo of it. It identifies things in the photo like glasses, a necklace and a dress, and it goes away and it finds things that look exactly like those things online for sale.
Yeah.
And so he said, if you look at this and you're like, oh, I like that dress, click on it. Within 46 seconds, you can buy online a dress from any online retailer from this system. And I've seen a similar thing with holidays. So sometimes say you get a holiday snap.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's really cool. I want to go there. Click on it. It works out where it is, and says, oh, here's some flights.
And here's the flights. Yeah, works out your plan for the holiday. It's amazing.
Crazy stuff. Takes all the fun out of it.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense in many respects. But yes, takes the fun out of it. It's not fun booking holidays. So moving on to.
Well, I went to a lean marketing.
You did. I think I had a lot of time. In fact, I caught up with a guy in between who talking about his viewpoint on the events that he's seen so far, and an app that he's creating to help fund small music artists. So we'll put that in at some point after this, which is really interesting to get that feedback.
Yeah.
And then I think moving on to Emily, I think that was one of the last ones that I saw. Unless you want to go to the lean.
Can I talk about my lean content?
Let's go to the lean.
Because that was in between.
Yeah, cool.
So brilliant. I can't remember her name, which is a crime, because for me it's the standout talker of the day. Were you in that one as well?
No.
Oh, it's just me, was it?
Do you take photos of the slides? I do.
No, because she didn't allow it.
Really?
Yeah, she was brilliant. She just said, if you're on your laptop, it was great. She was used to be a teacher, and you could tell. But she said, put your phones away. I don't want you to take any notes. Not in a bad way, not like copyright issues, just like, she says, anyone on their laptop right now doing social media, put it down. And there was someone next to me, and they went, says, if you're doing those things, you're not actually really listening. And
whoever you are, well done.
Yeah, it's really good. Anyway, she was saying, get to know your customer, and it sounds really obvious. And she was just saying, a lot of content marketing you kind of hear is a lot of, maybe not what you should be doing. The first thing you need to do is to get to know your audience really, really well, and ask some key questions. I don't have any notes because I wasn't allowed to take any notes. I've just written down lean marketing, and that's really all I've been able to put. But I did write down afterwards, just to make it simple, single channel. So that means just focus on a single channel. Just focus on one thing. Don't try to make it everything. If your users, after you've identified your users, is their Twitter follow, then just do it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make it straightforward, simple, like one proposition, one thing.
I do think, though, that sometimes you don't know what that channel is.
No, but that's the point. You need to find it out.
So yeah, but sometimes it's good just to try different channels, see which one sticks the best. Is she saying try them independently, but put your full effort into it?
No, she's not. She's saying go and really know your audience. So she actually pulled out people in the audience, different businesses. We had to do little, breakaway times to do stuff by ourselves, so with other people. So we actually had to talk to people.
Oh yeah. She went and sat at the back of the room.
Yeah, we had to do little things. So I was with this interesting guy.
That's
from
what teachers do, isn't it?
Yes, she was great. From the Wiltshire Wildlife Trust. And we were just sort of discussing the questions, and it's like, what problems do our customers have? Who are they? Who's our sort of target people? And then she would ask people in the audience, and she would, considering she'd never heard those businesses before, she gave extremely precise and really, like, I don't want to use the word obvious, but very perceptive reasons for like who their audience was. And one guy at the front, he was just he didn't really know, and she was like, well, this is obviously the reason, like, this is your customer and this is why.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And clearly that's why they're doing this. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. And so then you can come away from that with a really clear understanding of who your audience is, and you should just try and, you got to know who they are and how they want to be communicated with, I guess.
Yeah. And that leads us on, actually, to Emily, the final one, I think, of the evening. Emily's one was all about basically launching a product, a tech product specifically, but launching products. And she goes through the different phases from understanding your audience, or really actually understanding who you're trying to sell it to, understanding your product, what your product is. And she gave, there's a good exercise where you basically understand your product specifications, list those down, then move those to features, then look at what are the benefits to people from those features, and then, and this is what you really want to know, the values. What are the values based on all of that? Because you don't want to sell on specifications, which is what it is, what it's made from, or features or benefits really. You want to go straight to the values, because that is what's going to help people buy from you and actually spend money and help them get
there
over
are
the
different
hurdle.
kinds of people. There are people who will compare technical specifications.
Yes, but I think that can come later. Often, if you can if they're getting value from it, but they'll still feel that they want to look into the technical specifications. Like she said, she was talking about a box that is it her brother had or something like that, and it had the technical specifications on the back. Well, it's still got those. It's got them there for comparison.
Yeah.
You know, that is really useful. But who really cares if your computer comes with a 2 gigahertz processor or 2.3 gigahertz processor if it's able to run Word? And you're able to process.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
Yeah,
but it's able to run Word. Great. It's able, so I can actually put together a portfolio of my family. Great. So I can actually send out Christmas cards to my family and make them myself and bring joy to my family.
The problem solved.
Yeah. And linking it to that. Yeah. And it's really, for me, looking at the pain point. What is the pain point? What are you trying to address? What is the problem? If you can do that, and ultimately, she said, if you can address that pain point in your product before you've made it and make your product address that pain point directly, that's better. I'm not going to address all of it, but she had some very good points. I've written a lot down. She was a very entertaining speaker. I thought she was very good, actually.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And we've just been to two different things now.
Yeah. So I'll just quickly talk about mine. I went to Bristol and Bath Cyber Meetup. I'm just interested generally. I thought it sounded like a good idea. Just so people know, this if you're wondering what this logo is, this is the WordPress meetup group in Cheltenham. So thank you very much, Elliot, to let me have one of these to promote it on our video. And I thought, well, I quite like meetup groups. It's a really good way to meet new people. It's if you've got problems, you can share them with people, and it's a nice, friendly way to network, not like the business networking that is a lot of people commonly do. So I really enjoy it, and I thought, well, this would be a good experience. And I wasn't let down. I mean, the moment we came there, free beer, which is good, but that wasn't the main thing. As I was getting my beer, I met a lovely chap, and we were just chatting all the way through. And he's I won't share his name now, but I'll probably put it in the notes, or put his company in the notes. He was all to do with trying to solve the identity problem. So trying to know how I am represented online and how people can know who I am through various different mechanisms. Fascinating. He's just told me a little bit about it. The actual group was really nice, very friendly. They had a few different discussions talking about Cambridge Analytica. There was one woman who was studying her doctorate, so she presented some facts from that, and then a few other talks, which was quite interesting. But the Cambridge Analytica one stood out for me, and pizza at the end, but we'd already had pizza, so I had to skip that. But
too much pizza.
Yeah, really good guys. I enjoyed that a lot, and I'll hopefully try and come to another one at some point when maybe I can drag Al along.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's brilliant.
And how was yours?
So I went to a sort of panel discussion on equality and diversity in the workplace.
Yeah.
I guess IT is traditionally a sort of male-dominated sort of arena, and so they were talking about that, but also other things like people who've been away from work for a while and coming back, and how often they're also maligned and not recruited, and so they had various different people on the panel tackling all sorts of things from like feeling like an imposter, and a local company who've kind of got an equal paternity and maternity kind of scheme for time off, and other sort of HR people who've got experience of just implementing kind of more modern and with it kind of policies, not the sort of structure, the old structured kind of sexist policies that are kind of built into a lot of companies, especially around parental leave and things like that. So one chap who their company does do like a thing called returnships, so like an apprenticeship or an internship. It's like a returnship.
Yeah.
So if you've been away, maybe travelling, or you've maybe had a child and been off work, it's a way of coming back into work in a structured way. So you're not just thrown in day one, because that can be really, I mean, that's quite scary. And also it's a massive barrier to entry for people who are like, I've been at this for so long, I can't come back in. So that's a really good thing, and I don't think many companies do it. And he admitted he gets some amazing candidates that way. People who've maybe been away in the army and come back or something. And he's got people in all sorts of walks of life who've gone and done things coming back, and he says they're just phenomenal. So he says he didn't actually want to share his secret because he doesn't want other people to take these people. So that's good. And there's also a bit of talk about home working and flexible working in there as well, which I contributed a little bit to.
Oh yeah, I missed. I did go to a talk on culture, not vulture, I think it was called. And there was a panel discussion where they were talking about that, and a lot of making sure you have not only a diverse workforce, but you allow your workforce to be truly flexible, to work where they want, when they want. Flexible holidays, especially for maybe a working mother or working father, allowing them flexibility to take the children to school, or pick the children up, work around their children, work at night, whatever is suitable for them, and really working with people and not trying to work towards this very outdated presenteeism-based workforce, which a lot of people still do.
I mean, if you can give someone an hour extra in the morning, and you've got that person and they're brilliant, why wouldn't you do that? And that's, again, a bit of a message that came across in this other panel as well. So
yeah, it's important. Well, we should wrap up because you've got to get the train soon, I think. Yeah. It's been a long 2 days, it feels. It feels like a whole week for me, frankly. Just tiredness, but it's been really good. I've enjoyed a lot of it. Today, I think there were a lot of good ones. For me, Noisy Little Monkeys, they had some great presentations. They were half an hour long. They were generally studied with very good points. And that is the way to kick a presentation out. It's just to say, I'm not going to do it for too long. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to give you some very good bullet points. Done really well. And then I think also for me, Emily was really good. And then actually the Bath and Cyber meetup was a really nice wind down. Really nice way to introduce me to something else that I'll probably come down again for. So actually it's a really, really good day. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So this is it. This is the end of our Bath digital special.
Well, yes, indeed. I've got 2 more days of me coming to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben has to head home.
I have to go and work. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this. We'll be returning to normal Skype/FaceTime audio recording next time. But if you like this video, you've got any comments on it, let us know, and we'll see what we can do to do more of these next time.